is where the strongest portion of this storm is moving at this time. Greentown in the eastern portion of the county. And as I mentioned, if you go straight south from Greentown along 213, there's Jerome just off to the east, Phlox north of Windfall, Nevada. This is just along the Kokomo Creek in areas to the east of that. It includes Tipton County. You should be hearing tornado warning sirens, which means that you need to take action immediately as the storm is a threat in your area, and you'll hear the warning sirens. Storm Shield app, if you have this and you lose power, you will get the information you'll need. You'll get the warnings sent directly to you through this app. It's a weather radio for your phone, and most of all, it is free. It gives you peace of mind in these situations, and it gives you the information you need to put your safety plan in motion. And again, those of you from Greentown down to Windfall to Tipton should be in the lowest level of your home at this point with the tornado warning issued. Todd.
All right, as we go over to Weather Computer B on the key wall, you can see that we are dealing with this line of storms kind of pushing off towards the east. So while the threat a couple hours ago was to the west, as we told you when we were on the air during the news at noon and beyond into the 1 o'clock hour, the threat was going to start to shift off to the east. Now, most of the storms have been severe thunderstorm warnings. The one in Marion County finally produced some hail across the area. But the strongest storm, the one that's showing some rotation, is the one that Kevin's been talking about here up in northern portions of the viewing area as you work your way north of Tipton. The strongest part of that storm and where the potential rotation is kind of right there on the Tipton-Howard County line. It's moving off towards the northeast at about 40 miles per hour. A lot of lightning with this storm. Some of the other ones didn't have that lightning characteristic. So this is a pretty strong, intense storm. As we picked up more lightning, that shows the storm strengthening some, and then we got that rotation that's going to continue. It's now east of Sharpsville, heading towards the Greentown area, and then we'll eventually see if the National Weather Service continues that tornado warning into the Grant County area. Here's the thunderstorm that was producing 1-inch hail, kind of came through downtown, the state fairgrounds, now pushing through the Geist area, south of Fishers, but this will be heading towards Pendleton there in southern portions of Madison County pretty soon, and then as we slide a little further to the south, we have this thunderstorm warning, and Kevin, it looks like we have just south of Greensburg another tornado warning that was issued. So we have 2 tornado warnings. We have 2 thunderstorm warnings that are in place right now across the area. So if you live across eastern Indiana, this is the time you need to make those preparations. No severe weather is coming in your area. It may not be a tornado warning. Maybe it's just a thunderstorm warning. Maybe it's just a general thunderstorm with lightning making it dangerous. But from Muncie to Newcastle, Shelbyville, over towards Richmond, that is where the severe threat is going to take place over the next probably hour to hour and a half. National Weather Service dropping the tornado watch back off to the west. That's expected. Expect additional counties to be dropped off as this line of storms, Kevin, moves off to the east.
And we'll rapidly keep you updated on this changing situation because I think there are more warnings to come. Thunderstorm warnings, isolated tornado threat along the line. The one just issued, storm moving northeast at 55 miles per hour, Jennings County near North Vernon. North Vernon included in this, Brewersville, Nebraska up to Osgood, Napoleon, Millhausen, which is getting into Decatur County. And there's the larger view, as you can see from Greensburg here. You're technically not in the warning. It's southeastern portions of the county, but along Interstate 74 southeast Decatur County, not the place to be. If you're leaving Greensburg now, wait, do not head southeast on 74, and that stretches all the way back State Road 3 and North Vernon. To show you, we've got numerous warnings now. The tornado warning for eastern portions then of Howard County. We go to the north there, and let's just take these one by one. That until 2 o'clock. Greentown and Windfall included in that tornado warning as the storm has the potential to produce a tornado. And we keep stressing that because the ingredients are there. But it doesn't always mean that it will. A certain percentage, a small percentage of storms that rotate produce tornadoes, but those are the ones most likely to produce tornadoes, and that's why warnings are issued. But you can see how these are scattered all over. And these individual cells make them a little more likely to be able to maintain their strength. And so I'm showing the one in northern portions of Jennings County that has the warning into areas in Decatur County where you should be hearing warning sirens. Severe thunderstorm in southern portions of Shelby County and extreme northern portions of Bartholomew County. Each time you hear that bell, that's a warning from the National Weather Service, sometimes not in central Indiana office, but we also have the offices coming out of Ohio as they will inherit these storms. And then up in Howard County, the strong storms. As we put this in motion, the eastern half of the state now is where the severe weather threat is shifting. Muncie, Newcastle to Greensburg, on down along Interstate 74 from Greensburg southeast toward Brookville Reservoir, and then eventually Connorsville, Liberty, Richmond, Winchester, and Portland, that eastern third of the state and half of the state with the greatest threat of severe weather. There's a strong storm, and you can see there's a little eastward component to this as it flares out from Fortville on toward almost Anderson, certainly go through Pendleton, southeastern portions of Hamilton County, Fortville, Indianapolis Regional Airport over there, as well as Lawrence, McCordsville. That will have with it damaging wind potential as well as isolated tornado threat as it moves along. And notice what else is popping up just to the south. These are what we call multi-cell storms. In other words, they build the next one if they happen to collapse. Some of these have the rotation and that are in a balance and can go for a longer period of time. There's your warning in Shelby County, southeast of Shelbyville, and also into northern portions of Bartholomew, although the strongest portion of that storm now pretty much confined to southeast of Shelbyville, and the heart of the storm over northern portions of Jennings County and just to the south of Westport, almost going to reach the Decatur and Jennings County line, north of North Vernon, and obviously south then of Greensburg. And I want to go here and get a little better look at this as we give you some details. Those of you that live in the area be even more familiar. But from Westport down to Harper, Sardinia, Letts, Harris City, these are all areas that would be in the threat of the tornado. You begin to see this little bit of a rotation with the storm. That's why there's been the warning. And there you go, right over Brewersville is an area of rotation with this storm, meaning the potential is there for a tornado from this storm at any time. That's why the warning has been issued. That's why you should seek shelter in the lowest level of your home. Western Indiana tornado threat will be, and severe thunderstorm threat rapidly diminishing. Eastern Indiana, it is increasing, especially Muncie to Newcastle, down to Rushville and Greensburg, and then anywhere east of that to the state line with Ohio. As you're just tuning in, you're wondering what's happening this afternoon. Our temperatures have surged. We've got strong winds independent of storms. We've got a cold front that will swing through. We've got all the ingredients of severe weather. That's why tornado watch has been issued, meaning conditions favorable for severe thunderstorms with isolated tornadoes. We've had several storms capable of producing a tornado. We've had no tornado reports at this time, but seek shelter southeast of Greensburg, north of North Vernon, and then also southeastern portions and northeastern portions of Tipton and also Howard County. Todd?
All right, here's the warnings that we have in place. 2 tornado warnings, 2 thunderstorm warnings. However, the Shelby County warning, keeping a close eye on that, maybe upgrading to a tornado warning here in the next few minutes or so. Here's the radar as we throw it on. The severe threat shifting to the eastern side of the state as all these storms are moving off towards the northeast. We'll start here with the tornado warning to the north in eastern portions now of Howard County as you work your way just to the southeast of Greentown. Here is US 35 as you work your way from Gas City and from Grant County into Howard County. And this is going to probably continue into Grant County. We'll see the National Weather Service continues the warning on this if it heads towards the Marion area. Either way, it's a pretty strong storm moving at 40 miles per hour. So that would be in the Marion area here as we get closer to the 2 o'clock hour. So kind of prepare yourself if you're in Grant County. Now here's the storm in Shelby County, and it looked like it was getting a little bit of a hook echo, which would indicate some rotation, and that's fallen off a little bit here on radar, but this still is a very intense intense, a very compact storm system, but it's now crossed Indiana 9. It's heading towards St. Paul, and this will cross over I-74. So if you know any friends or family that are out there traveling along I-74, tell them to get off the nearest exit and kind of wait this storm out and make sure they're at a place where maybe if their tornado warning is issued, they can get indoors. Do not stay in the car. But this is going to cross I-74 with some very, very strong winds, a lot of lightning and torrential rainfall. The storm in Marion County did produce a little bit of hail. That's kind of the only one that had hail in it this morning and into the afternoon hours, as this severe weather outbreak started around 9 a.m. in Illinois, and now it's advancing here eastward through central Indiana. Here's the tornado watch. Again, it goes until 4 o'clock, but you see that the National Weather Service is dropping some counties on the backside of this system. So once the line of storms moves through your neighborhood, rain will continue with some scattered showers, but the severe threat, that will come to an end here, Kevin, across the area, but still going to linger here in eastern locations for a little while.
And I want to take the big picture with you, and I'm going to show you 1 second what we're talking about as Todd listens to and reads the next warning. The Storm Spotter Network is up. Tornado Watch was issued before noon, setting the stage, saying, hey, severe storms possible this afternoon into central Indiana. And now, as we can see, this will go all the way to the state line. Go ahead.
And go over to the warning map, Kevin. We do have a new tornado warning. This one for Hamilton, Hancock, and Madison County until 2 o'clock this afternoon.
Okay, so this will take the computer 1 second. That's a storm that we'd been watching come out of Marion County. Now we're zoomed in on that. And from Anderson down to Markleville, along I-69, Pendleton, southern portions then of Madison County, Fortville, McCordsville, northern Hancock County, anywhere once you get north of 70 along State Road 9. You would not want to drive north from Greenfield toward Pendleton at this point. Let the storm pass. On the edge of this is Indianapolis Regional Airport as well. I'm going to go back through the warned areas with the radar. That's the view in Indianapolis, where the severe threat is now off to the east on a larger basis, and that is reflected by all the different warnings. Almost now, as this line comes together, everything along the line will have the potential to be severe, and with rotation, the potential to produce a tornado. There are several active warnings, and we're going to go to the first that takes us up into Howard County. That's a tornado warning, including Greentown, but Swayze up to Marion, anywhere in southwest Grant County. Seek shelter in the lowest level of your home. There's heavy rain, and the warning extends down to windfall as well. Typically in Indiana, we get these storms. They're what we call rain wrapped. You can't just step outside, scan the horizon, and see a funnel cloud or see a tornado. It's often obscured either by trees or, in this case, heavy rainfall. The most recent warning just issued, and there's the storm from Fortville up toward Pendleton, and Fortville, McCordsville. I'll switch modes within the radar, and what we're doing, instead of looking at the reflectivity at the raindrops in the storm, we want to look at the motion of those and see just to the south of Fortville these changes in colors, often reds and greens, reds moving away from the radar, greens toward the radar, or red away and then green toward the radar. When those are next to each other, gives the idea of rotation within the storm, and that's why warning there. Also, this has been for a while. Now in northeast Jennings, and will move in impact areas along the county line with Decatur County south of Greensburg, but that's moving up toward Batesville eventually to cross Interstate 74. You hear the buzzer again.
Thunderstorm warning, Kevin, Decatur, Rush, Shelbyville.
Okay.
Shelby County.
So we're just continuing to follow that storm there. There's your Columbus through just south of Shelbyville and then south of Rushville. And notice how we have these individual clusters. There's a stronger cell that crosses 52 and then State Road 44. It'll move between Rushville and Connorsville, and then also along Interstate 74 if you just go back southeast of Shelbyville, northwest of Greensburg, clips basically Shelby, Rush, and Decatur counties along Interstate 74, then the tornado warning on the southern end. So in the metro area of counties, let's do that. Let's go to, say, Madison County, where we've got the tornado warning in effect. I can switch and give you the exact area of the warned spots, Anderson down to Pendleton, to Markleville, to Fortville, McCordsville, northern portions then of Hancock County. Seek shelter in the lowest level of your home. You can be assured that your kids, if they're at school now, which is obviously prime time for school, that they will be put in a safe place as tornado warning sirens are going off in many communities as a result of these storms capable of producing a tornado. What will happen once the storms move through, the wind is going to pick up and gust 40 to 50 miles per hour on the backside of all of this. We've got another hour or two until these storms reach the eastern portion of Indiana and move into the Buckeye State. But until then, we'll maintain this threat for severe storms and isolated tornado potential along the line of storms. If this can come together into a solid line, doesn't look like that'll quite happen within the Hoosier State. That's what we call a squall line. Damaging wind threat becomes greater there. But in this situation where I can point to the storm southeast of Greensburg, the storm just to the south of Rushville, the storm moving into Pendleton and Hancock counties, just out of Marion County with a tornado threat with that, and then you go up into eastern portions of Howard and Tipton. These are individual cells which then have rotation and the ability to maintain their strength for a longer period of time.
Yeah.
Todd?
Kevin, I sent our reporter Kelsey Anderson a text. She lives up in the McCordsville, in the Fortville area. She said, it's eerily quiet by me, but we did lose power. So some people are starting to lose power. And if you throw on your storm trackers, Kevin, you can see there is a tornado signature on that storm system in the Fortville area. You could see the rotation with our storm markers there right near Fortville. So obviously as that moves off towards the northeast, Pendleton would be up next for the potential there for some rotation within that storm.
And so what that marker is telling us is what we were talking about, this rotation, meaning it's a storm that has the greatest likelihood of producing severe weather and a tornado. Fortville, Ingalls, Pendleton, you see the box here showing communities in the path of that rotating storm with the potential to produce a tornado. It's moving rapidly, going to have its biggest impact in the southern half then of Madison County and extreme northern portions of Hancock County, but anywhere from State Road 9, once you get to the north of Greenfield and north of Interstate 70, Fortville, McCordsville, Pendleton, Markleville, along Ingalls included in this, and you get some detailed New Columbus from, let's say, areas 36 south, at least for now, with the greatest threat at this time, where you should seek shelter in the lowest level of your home as the storm moves to the north and east, with the individual movement of these cells often quite fast, although this is showing at about 20 miles per hour to the northeast. That's been slower than most, but Fortville, Ingalls, Pendleton, be in the lowest level of your home right now, seeking shelter from this severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. The larger view, because it's not the only storm in town, and I know when you tune in, you want to know what's going on in your area, and I think it's just as important to let you know when the threat is diminishing. That has happened in the western half of the state. The threat is maintained or increasing in the eastern half of the state, as evidenced by the numerous warnings that we have. And if we break those down, you go just follow the warnings. You're hearing warning sirens, Greentown down to Windfall, northeast portions of Tipton County, be in the lowest level of your home. Fortville, Markleville, Pendleton, as we mentioned, from Hancock County into Madison, anywhere just to the east and west of State Road 9. Other thunderstorms with damaging wind potential north of Columbus all the way to south of Shelbyville and Rushville. And then the tornado warning, that until the top of the hour from North Vernon to Westport to Millhausen or so in the southeastern portion of Decatur County.
And the ding you just heard there, the bell ring, Indianapolis cancels the tornado warning for Howard and Tipton County.
Okay. So we've got two different tornado warnings that are active. You've got the tornado warning until 2 o'clock in portions of northern Jennings and then also southern Decatur. It's closer to the metro area, and if you take a kind of a bigger triangular view from Anderson down to Cumberland and eastern portions of the county of Marion and then through Greenfield, those are areas that have the storm kind of pinpointed in between all of those. Ingalls would be the heart of that as the storm moves to the north and east. And as we show you the motion with this, any of the rotation increases the likelihood of damaging wind and an isolated tornado. That is the sound of spring. And as we tiptoe into severe weather season, and the storm preparedness week within the state is coming up as we get to the 13th of March. But it's really anytime the elements of moisture, lift, and shear, in this case, change in wind direction, come together that produce severe weather.
I did not see an update on what that ringing was, Kevin, but as we go over to Weather Computer B a minute, I want to show you a couple things here. And this is the storm, and I know I'm zoomed in close, so let me point out Pendleton for you, Markleville. You notice this little notch right here. It's a little less well-defined as it was the last radar sweep. It's kind of filled in, but the National Weather Service is watching for a little bit of rotation on the backside of this system, and that's why the tornado warning is still out. So Pendleton, Markleville, and then up to the north as you work your way into portions of the Anderson area. Those are the areas you have to be on the lookout next for the potential of some development. So this storm here with the tornado warning in Jennings County and parts of Decatur County, kind of out of Jennings County now, so that's good news for you, but still really intense here with some torrential rainfall in the Napoleon area. And this is going to be heading towards Batesville. And again, it's produced some rotation. So not out of the question as it continues to push off towards the northeast that we could get some additional tornado warnings on this storm system as well. So we have a bigger picture, and it looks like this storm system just now to the east of Rushville, they've extended the thunderstorm warning all the way to the state line as you work your way just north of Connorsville and then into the Richmond area. So thunderstorm warnings here from Columbus through Rushville all the way into the Connorsville area. That warning has been dropped with this storm system now with the update in the Greensburg area as well as in portions of North Vernon. But still, Brookville is going to see some really heavy rainfall. And then to the north, this tornado warning has been dropped up in the Howard County area. But still, Marion, some thunderstorm activity here, some really, really heavy rainfall towards Gas City as well. The storm has produced some rotation. So it's not out of the question that some of these tornado warnings get reissued. But here's the big picture. And you see this rain coming back into the state. Not worried about that for any severe weather. So the severe threat continues to be off towards the eastern side of the state. Most of these storms moving about 40 to 50 miles per hour, but it looks like the only tornado warning we have right now is that one, again, as you work your way into portions of southern Madison County, the far northern part of Hancock County with that signature on it. But then here's the line of thunderstorm warnings as you work your way towards the Richmond area. But with the speed that these are moving, most of the threat for severe weather should come to an end as we work our way into the next hour or two. National Weather Service and Storm Prediction Center already dropping some of these tornado watches on the western side of the state. Expect that to continue eastward here over the next hour or two, but certainly need to be weather aware, Kevin, on the far eastern side here of central Indiana.
And a couple things I can add to this. Although you do not have a tornado warning in Rush or in areas from Rushville through Connorsville through Richmond, oftentimes counties, when there's a tornado watch in effect and a thunderstorm warning, will activate sirens. It's a county-by-county basis, so you could be hearing that there. The tornado warning, extreme northern Hancock and then into southern portions of Madison County. That's the lone tornado warning, and if we go in closer, you see primarily to the south of Anderson. This would be really along and just south of State Road 67. Pendleton on the edge of this. Coming along State Road 9, if you come straight out of Greenfield, certainly torrential rainfall there. Then you get to the southeast portion of Madison County. The rainfall picks up. The rotation is there. Emporia, Mechanicsburg, Middletown, Chesterfield, all of these areas that I would be on the lookout as a storm will come from your west-southwest as it moves rapidly northeast. But you'll also notice how if one area starts to change, another gains in strength. And we're not seeing a lot of lightning with this, which gives us an indication that these are what we call low topped. They're not reaching 40, 50,000 feet into the atmosphere. They're at a lower level. And that circulation then sometimes can be hard to pick up, especially as it gets farther from the radar, because that radar beam goes out. As it goes out, it's going higher and higher and then gets above the rotating portion of the storm. You should be in the lowest level of your home right now, southeast then of Anderson, Mounds State Park, that area. Anderson Airport, this is on the edge, the South Town Center, just to the east of State Road 9 south, then of Anderson, as this moves and likely clips extreme northwest portions then of Henry County. But those of you from Knightstown to Greenfield, anywhere east of Greenfield, will have that cluster of storms with heavy rainfall coming your way as well, as the storms coalesce, come together just a bit, producing certainly torrential rainfall, as well as this tornado threat on an isolated basis. That's along I-70 in Hancock County, and then the rotating portion of the storm south of Anderson, not far from Miners Corner, Warrington, Marklettville, areas south and east on Madison County. Again, if you're tuning in, we've been following the potential for severe weather from late morning, and actually started in Illinois early in the morning, all the way now into the eastern portion of the Hoosier State. These individual cells showing rotation, the potential to produce tornadoes and damaging wind. Strong cell north of Connorsville, that will move into Richmond area in Wayne County. And there's a closer view of this. As you can see, there is a thunderstorm warning that'll cross State Road 1 as it comes out of the Glenwood, Connorsville, Fairview area and into at least the southern portion, southern half then of Wayne County in eastern Indiana. Each time the warning goes up, there's a storm spotter network that's a part of the puzzle to help keep you safe and to keep us informed of these storms. And what I mean by that is that we can look at these with the help of radar and look into the storm. But to look at the storm, it takes law enforcement, it takes you, it takes storm spotters from the ground up to confirm what we may see with radar and bring eyes to the situation, which is very important. There's the storm, as you can see, northern portions then of Fayette County, north of Connorsville, and you see a little lightning there. Todd?
Yeah, well, here's the traffic camera as you look up, as you work your way into Madison County there, I-69 up towards State Road 38, and you can see how it's shaking. So there's a lot of wind out there as well as these storms and the real heavy downpours out there. You can see the spray coming off the cars and trucks as they're on the interstate there. So here's a little update now as far as the warnings go. Still have that tornado warning for southern portions of Madison County, extreme northern parts of Hancock County. The rest of Hancock County under a thunderstorm warning. And then we have the thunderstorm warnings here from Rushville into the Richmond area. National Weather Service been monitoring their chat, and this storm system has lost a little bit of its rotation, so it's weakened a little bit. And that's what these storms go through. They kind of go through life cycles. And so they strengthen, and then eventually they start to weaken. Kevin mentioned these are low-top thunderstorms. So when they're low top, they tend to not maintain their strength as long as high top thunderstorms. So we'll keep an eye on it. This warning for the tornado may expire, but still, while it's out there, Marklettville, Middletown, even though you're outside the tornado warning, a very strong thunderstorm is heading in your direction. As I mentioned, you slide just a little further to the south. A tremendous amount of rainfall on I-70 there as you work your way just to the east now of Greenfield. And we'll keep an eye on some of these storms here in northern parts of Marion County now into the Carmel area, picking up a little bit of a rotation signature on our weather computer here. But this storm system in the Greenfield area as well as Pendleton, although it's kind of moving out of Pendleton right now, moving off towards the northeast pretty quickly. Should be near Newcastle here by 2:10 and then Parker City as you work your way a little further to the east by about 2:16. Quickly down to the south, back this thunderstorm. It was a tornado warning. It was a thunderstorm warning. It dropped off, but now a thunderstorm warning reissued for Batesville crossing off I-74. This is kind of getting out of our viewing area though, but just know about it. If you are in our viewing area and driving towards Cincinnati, just give yourself another 30 minutes or so and let that storm system pass by before you venture out. And then here's this really intense storm with a lot of lightning, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's some heavy doses of hail in this storm system as well. And this is moving off towards the northeast, eventually towards the Richmond area and just south of Rushville. There's a pretty heavy storm system. A lot of activity to the north still. As you work your way from Marion back towards the Peru area, some lightning. None of this is severe, though, as of right now, but we'll keep an eye on it. Again, these storms have gone through life cycles where they've strengthened, they've weakened, and then they re-strengthen, and we get some warnings issued once again. But here's the big picture. All the warnings are on the eastern side of the state. All these storms are moving at about 40 to 50 miles per hour for the most part. And so that means they'll race off into Ohio probably within the next hour or so. And then even though there's some rain moving back into the state, that would not be anything severe. However, even after these warnings expire, Kevin, we're still going to deal with very, very windy conditions.
And I'll show those gusts here in a second. And just to confirm what Todd was saying, the tornado watch has been dropped everywhere west of Indianapolis. Everywhere east of Indianapolis, the threat for these severe storms with the potential for a tornado continue. Southern Madison, as we mentioned, south of Anderson, Pendleton, Marklettville, areas that you should seek shelter immediately as that storm continues to make its move through the southeastern portion of the county, pretty much south and along 69 in southeastern Madison. Heavy rainfall will move from Greenfield northeast into the northwest portion then of Henry County. And you can expect that storm with some potential for wind gusts to 60 miles per hour. Side to the south and east, strong storm Connorsville, south of Cambridge City. That moves into Wayne County. Heads up Richmond, it will come from your southwest and bring with it torrential rainfall. Any of these storms have the potential for rotation. And I think we're back to the warning now, southeast then of Brookville. Brookville's right on the edge of this, Brookville Reservoir and into Franklin County in southeast Indiana. That's kind of on the edge of our viewing area. That's the same storm that we've been following along with now for a while. Let's talk about the wind, because many of you are experiencing these strong wind gusts that will continue to pick up strength after the storms. Notice the wind gust, 43 in Greencastle, Terre Haute, between 40 and 45 miles per hour. That's the strength of the low-level winds with this storm as it's wrapped up and strengthens in the low pressure areas toward our northwest. There's your pull of warmer temperatures into the Hoosier State, along with more humidity and the trigger being the low pressure area and the cold front to spark some of these strong to severe storms. You're going to, as we move into the month of March with Severe Weather Preparedness Week coming up, start to hear more from your kids who will talk to you hopefully about their safety plan at school, what they're going through. That's a great time for you to review with them what they should be doing at your house, which is get in the lowest level of your home. If you don't have a basement at your home, but a neighbor does, and you know that that's an available spot, that's a great place to be as storms approach. Those of you in a mobile home need to plan well ahead to find a safer structure to seek shelter. There are 2 tornado warnings in effect right now from the storms that are moving through. First off, northeast of Greenfield. This is really to the south of Anderson, along, as you could see, State Road 9, Marklettville, down to Pendleton. Pendleton's on the very back edge of this now. It'll clip and move into areas northwest, Henry County, and then strong storms Rushville and then Connorsville toward Richmond. The storm will approach there. But anytime you can do this, and I can just count individual storms, there's one with a warning. There's another in the warned area in portions of Rushville, another Connorsville, and then you come up to the other storm we were just talking about in southern portions then of Madison County. These individual cells sometimes are the ones to watch because they're able to feed on the ingredients to maintain strength and produce severe weather. When we get these long lines of storms, sometimes it just turns into more of a damaging wind event with the line kind of steamrolling its way to the east. But now we're getting to the last hour or so before those storms move into Ohio.
Yeah, and Kevin, the last warning to come out, or the most recent warning, is a thunderstorm warning, and that's for that cell of Delaware, Hancock, Henry, and Madison County till 12:30. So they basically extended the thunderstorm warning. They have not extended the tornado warning there for southern Madison County as of yet.